Students, you know how like for a while on social media, there was this thing where you're like, Faye caught me doing X, right? Like Faye caught me sleeping, right? And you take a picture of Faye having a little snooze, a little honk shoe me. Maybe just like escaping a little snore, but like not a big one, like a cute little one, right? Because it's Faye. Anyways, that Faye is referring to the Bay and naive Fays. That's the same. So it's spelled differently here. And that's because your Bay is naive, right? So Bay caught me naive, right? That's how I remember what naive phase is. It's over in 10 weeks. Oh, we have the cursed lighting situation, right? Let me go fix that. All right. So how many of you have heard of this little thing I like to call group work? Can I get a big whoop whoop for group work from all of the groups? Okay. That's about the level of whoop whooping I thought. Having both been whooped and whooped for group work in the past, here's a fun anecdote. When I was a small child, a little baby, a teeny tiny little 32-year-old, which is the same age I am now, people falsely claimed that someday I would have to work on teams with people when I grew up. And I've still never done that successfully, right? So be like me. Okay, so on March 10th, March 17th, and April 28th, assuming I used a calendar correctly, which I am not evaluated on my ability to use calendars correctly, so these could be wrong. But I have done my level best to get these things written down. Let's take a look here. Right, so March 10, March 17, spring break. These are going to be the 3 deep learning lectures, probably. I got to talk to Hendrik. We have to make sure we're doing the same thing because you do capstones together. And then you have final presentations on the 28th. Okay, that looks correct. These are dates to keep in mind for days that you will be talking in class up here. You talk in class every day out there, but on these dates you will talk up here. I think specifically on the 28th. On 10 and 17, you're submitting code. Okay. I found out shortly before walking in here that apparently you may have gotten another survey from this program, so I'm sorry for sending you too many surveys. Did you all just get emailed a survey or anything? Okay, they're going to ask you what you want to take this summer, and you're going to say Python for data science, and I don't care what the other thing you say is, okay? Because you all need to learn Python. That's what I've learned this term. Okay, so, and I need to learn Python. That's how I found out. I went to learn it myself, and I was like, we should learn this. And then I kept teaching R. So, there's a group preference form. So I think there was some light groaning, perhaps, in response to group work. And having been a student, I gave you an individually option. So you can check this if you want. And these are semi-competitive in that the models that you generate will be evaluated against your peers. So if you win and you're not in a group, you can be twice as toxic to your classmates, right? You can be like, I beat you by myself. Yeah. And I'm allowing you to do R or Python in my efforts to ensure that you can all get jobs someday. Every once in a while, I look up like Indeed data scientist. I don't know if you ever do this. I do this roughly twice a day. And if you click at some of these, at high probability they say Python, and at medium probability they say R, and that stresses me out a little bit. You notice just the first example, and I didn't know what this was going to say in class because I'm geolocated to Salem, right? I checked in Portland before I came down here. JavaScript, Python, C#, C++, HTML, SQL, and Swift. Does anyone know what Swift is in here?
Banking system.
It's a what?
Banking system.
banking system. That is true.
That's the international one.
Yeah.
He's meaning the programming language for Apple.
Yeah. So C Sharp. C Sharp is Windows C++, and Swift is Mac C++, basically. And so there's 3 C++s here because you use C++ CUDA for GPU acceleration. There's JavaScript because the person that wrote this doesn't know that you don't use JavaScript for data science, right? And then there's HTML here because they needed a third. So but anyway, Python's here, right? And I don't know if we check these. Oh, this one's got R. All right, you're safe, right? Okay. Anyone live in Cupertino? Any Cupertino appreciators? Can I get a whoop whoop for Cupertino? I just like saying Cupertino. Oh, yeah, Python. Okay. So, anyways, do whatever you want with your life. I felt obligated to give you an option to complete these moduling assignments in Python. But if none of you check that box, then I don't have to get it set up in Python, right? See how I'm one step ahead of the game, right? So your responsibility is to fill this out right now. So fill it out. Do you all have access to the link?
Okay, let me just type my sentence for you. No way, I swear. You're about to.
I have not seen something about that, but I guess they're probably going to send one out there for realize.
I can show you what I have now. It's just like one thing that I'm not sure. Okay, okay. I'm not going to do that.
I went to the house, I want to see
The other one, I did the rest of the homework, like, under the assumption that what I did was right.
So here you're like, yeah, that thing's going out. And it's like,
Okay.
1776.
I'm not trying to get fired. Well, I am.
For anything?
Yeah. Is she JavaScript on that data
I would have gone beyond and made my own computer matrix because I thought the one that art figured out was confusing, so I made my own graphic. Nothing but validation. And that, yeah.
That's why you gotta ask.
Good job.
Because you don't want to be like, are you seeking your validation?
That's not required.
I also cited all my sources.
Oh,
And I just was like, that's not helping the other day. What? I come up with my sources, APA, MLA, Chicago. Safe systems for what?
I feel like you are all not like embodying the explain phenomenon. So you're like, Kelvin has an author, and that's like, yes, I
see statistical learning about industry.
I saw the logic in yours, and I was like, that's would you like to see? I don't want you to do it. But I want you to do it. You can't.
I did say I was like, please report back. Well, I'm gonna redo it. Thank you for it.
One of the things I pushed back really hard on the first is you can't capitalize.
Can I just, I can select all of them.
You have to capitalize. So like, it's good that you're capitalizing your sentences, right? So you can't capitalize.
I only cited my sources. I have to know that I'm like, they go, where did you get that from?
I was like, I'm like 99%.
There's actually like a
So I compensated it. So if you didn't get that email, oh yeah, that's a completed screen.
Oh gosh, okay.
Yeah, but this is but I can't put him
Oh yeah,
together.
usually sit over there.
Yeah, exactly. My one line.
Fill out the form.
That's what I'm saying. I know it like,
Fill out the form.
I know it for a fact. It's been years.
We all filled out the form?
I can't read.
I just finished the book. I borrowed the book from my friend. It's in 2 days. And I'm giving it back to her.
Oh.
Why am I holding myself?
Double factor authentication.
That was probably unnecessary in hindsight.
No, I think it's very necessary.
I did it, but I also.
Okay.
No, see, I read. Sorry, I didn't mean to make you borrow. To the point where I can't. I was just curious, like, so what is all the, like, I always wanted to be able to do that, and I just, every time I almost get my eye or something.
You need one. Oh, did you respond to that? I've been in between
When I was going to shut it down.
and then I looked at my phone supposed to take one like and then by the time I got off,
Oh gosh, you okay?
And
It's always fun, right?
so that's why I
It
was
means good things for us. We might be competing against each other in launch.
so workshop like that thing going.
Like it's been almost 2 months since like just like the first like Zoom call. Yeah, but it was
This
just
is
like
America.
Yeah.
Was your first Zoom call?
it was it was in like so like the actual community interview was at the end of December, and then the one before because I had like a really brief
No,
background,
honestly,
Yeah.
but that was on like the 18th.
this was just,
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I had this
No, that's what
For
happened.
me, the interview was like the 23rd.
So
Because we got the late, because you call it.
and so we were in the over that start to dump which is the line because there's a ton of version around
So I was returning
and
to
so next time I'm like my mobility is good.
You're right.
I think it's just a brain. It was just like really like swollen and like somebody so controversial in some direction. And the injury itself wasn't actually that bad. It just was like 60
And actually,
Yeah,
No,
that's pretty funny.
but we're on the right track. I'm hoping to be back by like
That's the one.
yeah, that's the one. I don't know.
Same likewise,
Since the first day, I just
I knew it probably was a good one, but it's like I just applied to a bunch of random ones, but I applied to
Okay.
Yep, same little thing. Blah, 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 great.
I did
You're not fucking for
a lot of alphabet.
Then you
Honestly, half these
Yeah,
questions
today I
don't
started
Yeah, that was true.
questions now. So I think it's like the way that today I'm still doing like alphabet and like the band and stuff, but I've also started doing like college punches, marbles.
Also, I
I
was
did
talking
some
to Professor before, and they're probably doing it for like the subscription-based record like system,
but yeah, a lot of
like
mobility work
doing
now.
that sort of
Supposed to be walking the full time. It's definitely something like I've been walking in the grocery store. I think probably a little bit, but not like a strong stage. Sorry, this is so. It really hurts. Like,
Oh wow, really?
obviously some of the
Do you work at HBC
but it's
from
only
2000
like
to 2004?
Oh gosh,
or
yeah.
like 7 to 2 apart. So.
Down low.
Or if I accidentally like something like that, or like yeah, or like if I try to like wait on my heel and impact, or wait on my heel and let like the weight of my leg fall forward when like yeah when like my leg is like and the bruises are like for 3 days post a really like talk I'll talk back. But we had this really fun moment, so I was on so we had a match that I and then but the other student she plays super long. She's just kind of she's always got something going on. And so we were her and I were walking out together. I'm on crutches. She's like all this ice. And all the juniors and girls just like took off to their cars, they're going away, and they're rolling up their cars, and her and I are still like hobbling out, and then they see someone like, oh my god, this is so
Get lost at sea once.
You drown one time, and the I had
You don't know how to swim.
But yeah, I'm just standing, I was like walking around the course all day, so I got like a temporary privilege for the second match, so I could be on course with everyone. And I'm
See, I was working on that natural selection.
and I looked down and I was like, all the way.
Exactly.
Because my ankle just like my kneecap was gone, my calf was huge, my toes were out.
Just
Oh
like
my
I
god.
got a lot of times with like rock climbing in the wilderness. I don't think I've ever done rock climbing. Like when nature's out of
Yeah, for 3 days it's been really good. There's definitely a couple places
There's some people
where
All right, I better have gotten a barrage of emails from Google claiming that people have been filling out my form. And you better have all selected individually in Python, which was the correct answer. This was a graded assignment. Okay. Some of you may be aware, hopefully all of you, that there was a homework assignment this week. This is, I think, is this the 3rd of 5 or the 3 of 5? 1, 2, 3, yep. Because after the 5, what is there? There's modeling assignments, which are done in groups. Okay, so do you want think, pair, share time on homework 3? Okay, please talk to someone you haven't spoken to before. Like, I can't make you do that. I'm going to set a timer. I took my watch off. That's why I don't know what time it is. I'm going to set a timer for 15 minutes, which I thought was a crazy amount of time. Then I saw how long it took us to fill out the Google form, okay? So I'm going to set the timer for 15 minutes. Think, pair, share. I'm going to go around and talk to you, and then we're going to introduce the naive Bayes algorithm, which is when you caught Bay naive-in, right? Okay. Think, pair, share, homework 3.
Sure. I haven't done it, so I'll talk about it.
How do you do timers? I need to just write my own.
I haven't done it, but like talking speed. I did it with R. Yeah, and I was trying to do it with Python. Because R is so easy.
So really fast recovery. So yeah, exactly. When it first happened, they were like,
Right, so then it's easier to
I wouldn't want to read this.
Right.
I just basically like, I like to do slides right, and then that's when you get
Oh, is it just random?
Yeah.
and so when I was over and I because it was just me. It was just the start.
Fair enough.
So that's what I was saying.
I mean, like, I could probably.
yeah, this is what I
It's probably the good. Yeah. Did you guys actually read them? Well, that's the Right. Yeah. Because that's how you do Right.
That's my
Yeah.
I had first grade.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I just have to actually, do it.
Okay. I basically just kind of walk around and oh, it was true.
Yeah. Right. So like the feature engineering. Yeah, I think like I don't know. I think it's more applicable if you have like more domain knowledge. Like I don't know a lot about wines, you know. So I think like if it was a data set that I knew more about, like you have more insights on like what columns.
Okay, I was gonna say, I was like, I can do this.
I don't know about that. Okay, I don't know if that makes me smart. I didn't know not doing the homework made me smart. Like why we yeah. I think the idea is like in the future, right? If you're working for a company, you'll be like, these are our priorities, and their priorities are like, you know, whatever. Like maybe their priorities are like, we really want.
Is it homework 3?
Okay, I think that's okay.
So we decided.
To like look at these variables, these columns, like this one. I don't know. Like for growing wine, maybe it's like we really care about like, you know, flavor, and we care about like the points rating, and we really care about like the weather. And we want to look at that and like optimize our wine. So I think that's why is like helpful because like I think a lot of the times like you're not going to be asked to like come up with solutions like on your own. I think it's going to be more like given or like even if it's not directly, it's going to be like maybe consider looking at these things. And I think that like part of it might even just be like you kind of just like throw everything at the wall and do something where you're just looking at all of the possible combinations of features and it's like, oh, this model has, you know, really low RMSE or something. Or, oh, this model has really high RMSE. We're not using that one, you know? So I think it's a little bit just trial and error. But so I think that like even though we're being given all of the code is on the fly, like I think that's sort of similar to like work. I don't know. Yeah.
Ask questions.
Yeah. I think it's so that like when we are modeling, like you get more like it's like what you want is you want to be like the people who are like growing wine like care about the actual variables, not necessarily just like the but I don't entirely know. Like I think maybe also they might have yeah, I think the idea is that like a lot of times like modeling things is not as simple as like, oh, you want to model this variable based on this one variable. Or like, we're looking at this thing and we really care how this combination
I think mine was like 0.3, like 7. Yeah, I got a 0.376.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
I got 1738.
So like we care about like, I guess in this case we care about like the
And then I told him Jeffrey didn't pay what
rather than just like the flavors or the time. We care about like both of these things. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like you're just like if you were like I don't know, like you care about you know the flavor of the wine and also like how long the wine is for and like those and like that. Versus like it might be less important for just like how long it's grown. How long it's like
I wanted to.
I think it's the idea.
I really wanted to. If you cared a lot, we should.
Yeah. Yeah.
lots of ones that
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure, like, how. Homework. How did we come up with the, so I did you do weed scraps?
Yeah. Oh, and here, so that's and then did that for
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. I'm not
and as you can tell,
including the school.
and I am proud of that.
I think it's just like, maybe there's just like a standard thing, like everyone picks 100, unless you want to pick 100. Like, it's almost like a default pattern, where it's like, oh, you start with 100. Yeah, we did, cross validation. Yeah.
It's like just that, but not
Yeah. Yeah, we do leave. Yeah, I think
Thank you.
I took very bad model because I didn't so I did that, but before other than that, yes, that was all. Right. Like you're following along like why
I used to.
Yeah, I would say that's like this. And also, I did a project once. We have like a software development. Basically, just like kind of do whatever you want.
Then you guys should.
And we like make a project throughout the semester.
You are gonna.
And we ended up doing like
I believe it. We're
that
past that.
was in Python. Yeah, we were doing like. Okay. It's
I
like
think they would have done.
it's like it's another type of like machine learning that is like based on like how it is the idea. Let me see if I can.
I think it's
It's like a method for
section. The visiting is covered. It's over the edge, right? So it gets really confusing. Sitting over here, right? And then
I feel like that got forced me into skills. And I definitely,
So you want to start out from the beginning? Yeah. And like we'll talk about like classes. Yeah. That makes sense. So our project was in 2014. It's like you want to match the tiles and then you smash the tiles and combine the two and the goal is to get like the 24. Yeah, so our project was using like a neural network and training it so that it would always place like every time you make a move, a new tile spawns. And so we were trying to make like a really challenging version of the game. So it would always spawn it. You know, maybe we were trying to make it hard. So that a new tile would always spawn in like the most difficult place. For like, because like there's like certain strategies and stuff. It's like you want your tile to come like the corner, you want to like go towards it. And so like our model here is like spawn the tile in the going place, so it's making it large tile and stuff like that. I used to play this game so much. I'm a big fan. And so we did that with this thing called neural network. I have a machine learning that like basically you learn by doing things. So like the way we trained it was like we made the model and then we played a lot of the games and then over time the model learns about like, oh, every time I place a tile here, that lowers the player's score by this, and that means placing a tile there is something I should do. And so it's like reinforcement like learns over time. And it's based on like neurons, like the idea is based on neurons.
I'm gonna guess.
I did do like canon and I did my like model last night. Yeah. So like it ends up with something like this.
I don't know if it's
so you can imagine one of the neurons, right? It's like and then and then like in this video maybe just not enough yes, I don't
keep it elevated to the bag. Like actually max on my own.
Yeah, this is like our final presentation. So yeah, it takes all these square stuff and like knows when it like does math. Oh, okay.
She's like, honestly, she's like,
This was made by one of my friends. I don't know, she made it easy. Like she made it.
considering
Yeah.
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 She's like watching her.
Yeah.
She's like, I can't believe it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what like you guys.
And I was like,
Okay. All right, makes sense.
like you don't see it.
But that's okay.
Now it has, like, sometimes it starts to feel redundant.
But yeah, so neural networks is basically way of training. Yes.
Okay, just kind of going through.
Especially on a tennis court, like with a hard court, it's not the soft.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure because like my other classes have like excellent hybrid, so it was just also like a professor. I think the professor. I don't know if I can access like old things, but
Which is great.
I can definitely ask the professor if they he has like
I mean, also,
like a book.
they're probably not letting go.
So
But
I don't think.
Can I tell you about the reason why my school? Oh, I didn't.
Oh.
I don't actually have that, but I did take any photos since like.
So I will finish in the summer.
I don't know.
I took this photo and I was like, wait.
I have not. I've been like looking at things. But I haven't, like,
It's not looking very good.
I don't like have a job yet.
But yeah, that's like school right there. I was trying to get a photo.
Yeah. So here's like a bunch of different textbooks that are all
Which book?
so I could send this to you.
Some of those are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this was like the same cover that I chucked out.
I'm just gonna download this.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
This one
Yeah.
gives you the best.
It's doing great. No. Oh, it's not even honestly, I'm glad it's not.
Yeah.
Were they surprised by that, or were they like, that checks out?
And then.
I'm optimistic that I'll be back for those also, but if not,
Fair enough.
Okay, first off, one of these now. Okay, that just means that we need to like tie them both up and.
I just have to actually like.
Have you had this? Which one is it?
Very Utopia. And I watched one like I watched Princess of Power.
I watched that as well.
It's funny.
Okay, I have a question. And I would.
Yes.
At the same time.
oh, there's also, it's not
This is, at least for your, like,
in the middle, it's really nice.
that's why I say
It's not showing you happy places.
We're done. The time has been done for like 3 minutes.
Yeah, I was helping the student.
Well, we finished. Harvey's doing like 80 million plots.
Yes. Yes.
So every time is a surprise.
Oh, God.
It's the best.
Oh, okay. You want to just select?
All right, students, I got a question for you. Who loves formulas? Yeah, can I hear her expression?
I like Formula One.
Do you like formulas? Can I hear it for, let's see, the other formula I can think of is infant formula. Yeah? Do we like nutrition formulas? Or nutrition programs for young people? Yeah? Shout out babies. I was a baby once. Look how I turned out, right? What's going on here? Have you all heard of Bayesian?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. They caught me naiving, right? I'm gonna say it over and over again, right? This is one way of expressing something, right? Probability of C given X. So, what is a C given X? Like the probability of getting a ticket, given that I've parked illegally, which I am right now. So I got to class too early to park where I usually do. Is the probability, so C was getting a ticket, so C for citation, and X for against the law, right? It's crossed out, right? Is the probability that I did something against the law, given that I got a ticket, times the probability that I got the ticket, divided by the probability I did something against the law, right? And we can express this using, I'm assuming this expression's a little bit unusual, that's logical and, so that's just the probability that both of these things happened, right? So the probability that I got a citation and was doing something illegal, because sometimes you get tickets for doing things that aren't illegal, right? And sometimes you do things illegal without getting a ticket, right? They're correlated, but they're not causated, right? Have any of you ever said the word causated before? So I think there's these things called causeways, and I don't know what they are, but I think it's a fun word to say, right? So this is a relationship between different probabilities. And what are we going to use this for? Well, of course we're going to use this to do the same thing as k-nearest neighbors, right? We need a competing model type where we're going to try and classify things. And so let's build out the mathematics here, and we have a variety of examples, and then we'll break for dinner. My voice already hurts, which is great. What is the probability that I make it to 10 o'clock given my voice already hurts? Well, it's the probability that my voice already hurts given that we make it right? You got it right here, right?
Yeah, it's all there.
This is 10 o'clock. This is voice, right? Anyone watch The Voice? That's right. It's propaganda trying to get you to like music. Okay. That was propaganda trying to get you to like something else. You remember our good recurring character, Hendrik Oram? Hendrik Oram deals with fraud because Hendrik Oram works for Umpqua Credit Union, which is, a major regional bank. We want to, as responsible data scientists, serve our region and empower the people that live there, right? And one way to do that is to form a credit union instead of trusting big banks or whatever the alternative is, right? I keep all of my money in gold bullion under a suitcase or under my bed, whatever you do. Okay, so suppose half of all emails are spam, and I know that's hard to believe, right? So imagine only half of the emails you get are spam, right? Now, I don't have this problem because all of the emails I get are excellent, just absolutely exquisite homework submissions from the students that turn in their homework ahead of class, right? And then I go home and they get progressively scarier until midnight anywhere on Earth. And then I wake up in the morning, there's a few panicked people that sent me things. There's like, I was totally done with this on time, but I can tell because it's on GitHub, right? So get it on GitHub even if you forget to send it to me. Okay, so we're going to imagine half of all emails are spam, which is not true if you're a professor, but is true if you give your email address to spam bots on your social media of choice. And imagine you've purchased some software. I know, I never spend money on software either, right? Because if you put your credit card in the information on the internet once, then everyone else in the world has it, right? Okay, so you've purchased some software. Hooray! Can I get a hooray for software? I love audience participation. Okay. And this software filters spam emails. Does perhaps the university pay money for Google Suite, which has a built-in spam filter? Okay, so in fact, we do pay money through our tuition for a spam filter. That's basically correct? Okay. I don't know what that comment was, but I will also laugh at it. Haha. Okay, all right. I don't know that Google claims to detect 99% of spam, but if I were Google, I'd just do that. I don't think anyone would call me out on it, right? And it claims the probability of a false positive. You all know what a false positive is, right? That's also called a negative. Nope, just kidding. Okay. marking non-spam as spam, right? So that's like if I get a really, really good Quarto Markdown document in my inbox, and Google says, you don't want to see this. This is trying to sell you lungfish, which is a type of fish that actually exists, right? Who's heard of lungfish? Right. We can always tell when there's biologists in the room because they self-identify when you ask about lungfish. And lungfish are important. Why?
They're the, I don't want to get too into it, but they're lobe-finned fish, which all mammals are descended from.
Right. So I'm related to a lungfish.
Lungfish are closer to mammals than they are to ray-finned fish, which are almost all other fish.
That's so cool, right? Like we're homies with the lungfishes. Okay, it's because we have lungs, right? Yeah. Okay. So we can break this out into probabilities. I have adopted. What did I do? Okay. I've adopted code style to express probabilities. So these are code blocks instead of these, which is our LaTeX formulas. I wasn't sure the best scientific communications way to do these examples, so I'm disclosing that. To me, this looks enough like code I've seen, but like this is kind of a weird thing, right? You've seen the formulas API where we say like L price space tilde dot and then close paren, right? I'm sort of thinking of this in the same way. I have some basically function P that is going to see what the probability of some formula is, and the formula is that some email is called spam given that it is spam, right? And that's 0.99. Yeah?
So is that actual code, or you're using that to interpret what the code is? Just like
Yeah.
that would be more simple in R for many things.
Yeah, so this is, it would be or in R, right? So this isn't actionable code. This is a way of expressing the concept. And I just don't know the best way to express this concept. I've also seen, like another adoption I've seen is like, you say that you like say this thing is called like event A and it relates to a random variable or something. Is that right, Jeffrey? Is that how you do this, right? So I've adopted this like pseudo code, not R formulation of describing this thing. And you see I have a variety of different ways I express this, right? So here's sort of the random variable notation, right? The reason I wasn't using this is like by the time I got to this line, I already didn't remember what A was. Because I don't have an undergraduate statistics major. That's not true. I actually do have one of those. Okay. I got it a long time ago. Okay. Never mind. I'm lying. They'll just let you come up here in front of the class and tell lies. It's fun. There's no fact checkers. I can stop anytime I want. Okay, so the probability called spam given it is spam is 0.99. And then we have marking non-spam as spam. I included this one in parens. And this is, again, where to me I'm straining the limits of the English language here. I thought it was too weird to not put this in parentheses because I was worried you might say spam is 5%. I don't know. So marking non-spam as spam is 5%. So the probability of called spam given isn't spam, the negation of is spam, is 0.5%. Now, keeping with the discussion of notation, I could have used a logical not symbol here, right? And that would have been even more confusing because I have logical or, right? Okay, let's use the random variable notation. Okay, so we're going to work all of this out. Okay. A is an email that is a non-spam email. So if we represent this as an event, this is receiving in our inbox such email. If we're viewing this from the state of an email, this is the probability that a given email is such and such a thing, right? Okay. And then B is that the email is marked as spam, right? These things are not mutual, they're not truly independent, right? But they're distinct. And we can evaluate the probabilities over them. We are going to assume under Bayesianness that they are independent, right? And so we can take the probability of B given A, and you are supposed to figure this out, right? And so how are we going to figure this out? Okay, so we have the probability that the email is marked spam. Well, we have 50% of emails, right? Should I write on the board? I imagined writing on my board, and then there's no boards to write on in this. I was trying to think of an example. We're also going to do bag of words later today, and I was practicing sentences. This is unrelated. Does anyone know what button I press? Is it? I think it was that one. That one seems to be the one, right? Okay. just emails, and I think to me there's two obvious ways to think of this, right? For example, I could have some probability space, and within the context of this probability space, half of it is spam, right? And half of it is not spam. Is logical not here okay, or is that unbelievably sketchy for the study? You all seen logical not before? Okay, right. And so, we can say, what is the probability that an email is a non-spam email? So A, that's this thing, right? Or perhaps, oh, I'm not capturing this on YouTube. What's up, YouTube? How you do? Okay. And B is that the email is marked as spam. Well, we don't actually know the direct probability, or we haven't been reported, but we can calculate the probability that the email is marked as spam. But we do know what? We know the claims of the software developers. And do we trust software developers? That's right. Good job. Okay. So we say that if something is spam, we have, say, a 99% chance that it is classified as spam. So all of this is shaded in. Right? That's what shading in looks like. How's my handwriting?
Better than mine.
You're probably wondering why I use slides for everything. So my first term I didn't. And guess what all my course evals say? They said use slides, Calvin. Okay, so, and this is probability of, so mark this spam. Okay. And then we have over here on the not spam column, we claim that only 5%, right, a 5% false positive rate is marked as spam. So I'm going to say that this is 5% of the way through that vertically. Yeah? We all like that? Yeah. And so in order to determine the probability that something is marked as spam, given our entire probability space, we just take the summation, sum of these two spaces, and we know that this is half, or this is 0.5 of something, right? And it's 0.05 of 0.5 of something. And then over here, you know, we have, there's another 0.5 probability of something spam, and we have 0.99 of that. If we add this up, we have 0.99 times 0.5, which does not equal 5.99, which is what I always think it's going to be, right? It doesn't even equal anything close to that, right? And then over here we have 0.5 times 0.05. Okay, there's no way any of these can read that. No one knows what that says, right?
Nope.
Right. Okay, I'm going to try again. Should I do dots or cross for times?
Star.
Star? Oh. What is wrong with you? Yeah, I don't know that I like that. And what I do that's extremely not cool, I would even go so far as to say fringe, right? I changed the order, right? Use 0.5. And I'm sure we can all determine this calculation mentally, right? But I'm going to try and figure out on the board in front of you so we can all figure out how much fun this is, right? Well, okay. So really we just need half of that, which is 0.4.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know why I trust you. You'll tell me it's right if I get it wrong. It's funny, right? Okay. And that's 0.5 times 0.05, so that's 0.025.
Yep.
And we just have to add these things together, which gives us, oh no, oh, I'm doing addition on a board in front of students.
0.52.
Hey, you gotta say spoiler alert. Okay, okay. And this is the probability of what? That an email is marked as spam, so we have determined successfully that B equals 0.5. Or perhaps B. Okay, does that all make sense? Did you all know that already? Did I fumble through that for no reason? Okay, some of you are nodding yes and some of you are nodding no, and those things are mutually exclusive, right? Like the probability of yes and given the probability of no is 0, right? Okay. You see this, right? Okay. I bet you all cheated and just looked at the answers, didn't you? On the next slide. I did want to give you an example of how you can just, I don't know if you all do this right, but I realized at some point in my life I was spending an ungodly amount of time doing mental, literally addition and multiplication, and I don't know why I was doing this. And now I just open a script every time, and so now I can't do math in my head in front of students, but I also know how many things there are. So here are these calculations, right? Let's look at another example. Okay, we have 3 cards. Okay, I'm going to come over here and draw. Does anyone see a red marker anywhere in this classroom? We're doomed. Okay, fine. No, it's too late. We're committed to the day. This eraser doesn't work. See, it's a metaphor that the past is gone, but you can't fully erase it, right? Yep.
I literally cannot.
No. Can you see this? I didn't ask if everyone can see this. Can y'all see? Unironic ball drop. That's accidental. Okay. How y'all doing? All right. Okay. I have 3 cards. It's a lot of cards, right? Okay. 1 is red on both sides. And this time, rather than expressing this in probability space, I'm going to express it as a graph, right? So, we have 1 card that is red on both sides, and I will denote this card as R, R, and I would have written that in red if Kendall offered me a marker, but here we are, right? Okay. And so then we have an additional card. What is the additional card? It is black on both sides. You'll denote that as BB, which is also how I refer to young people as BBs, right? Okay. And then we have 1 that is red on one side and black on the other side, which we'll denote as RB for Rachel Brown, who taught you Data 501 this year, right? Okay. I'm going to pick a card at random, and I'm assuming that when I say pick a card at random, I mean I'm going to sample from a uniform distribution over these 3 cards, right? I'm going to put it on a random side. We'll again assume it's uniformly distributed over possibilities, right? And we note that the color showing is red. Well, here's how I think this. And we're going to see if the probability that the other side is black. I made the claim that I'm uniformly sampling from the distribution of possible observations, so I'm going to consider each one of these things occurring at equal probability. There are 2 possibilities of sides up here. We can have the 0th red side, and we can have the 1th red side. Oh wait, no, this is an art class, so we want index, right?
Unfortunately.
So we'll have red 1 and red 2, which also stands for R2D2, right? Okay. From here, we have, oh dear, that's not, I tried to draw a B and that's what came out. Have I done the B dance for all of you yet?
Really upset that's not on camera.
Yeah, the camera's all the way over there and turned off and pointing to the wall. But you have your own camera. This could be your starting content creation.
Videos of you.
Wait, no, the second one's B2. Okay. So I claim all of these things occur at equal probability because I sample uniformly from this distribution and sample uniformly from this distribution, right? I claim that this is comparatively reasonable. So each one of these things occurs at, of course, probability, whatever it is going to equal 0.18 repeating or something like that. Is that what a sixth is? Anyone know what a sixth is? Is this 1/6? It's 6, isn't it? Does that seem better?
Yeah.
That can't be right.
What's the number?
Well, it's this thing over 2, right?
It's like 1.6.
Is it 6 repeating? That?
Yeah.
That's boring. What I do before, was it like a 7th or something? No, it's bigger.
You're getting close to it.
Alright, so, alright, I pick a card at random, I put it on the table, and the color showing is red. So since the color is showing is red, I know I'm in one of these universes. There are 3 such universes. And I want to calculate the probability that the other side is black. Well, in this universe, the other side is red. Universe, the other side is red. This universe, the other side is black. So that is B, R, R. So 1/3 of the possibilities have the other side is black. So that is probability of something. And it's going to be, what is it? Probability of black given red is equal to 1/3. And the probability of black is 1/2. Probability. Let's figure out how to get those 1/3 out of 1/2, and you'll see how this. So we have a 1/3 probability that the card is the red-black card. That's the core thing where the 1/3 comes in, right? We don't necessarily know the probability of the side up is red. I added up the universe of all possibilities, right? And there are other such ways to do these things, right? I had to make strong claims about uniform distributions, right? But that's okay. So does Vegas, right? And they don't lie. I just like randomly slammed in a double equals here because I forgot what programming language I was using. So the probability that the side up is red, given the card is red-black, is 1/2. The probability that the side up is red is, what is this? That is 1, which is the probability that the side up is red. Oh no, I used B to denote red. That's terrible. The probability that the side up is red times the probability that both sides of the card are red. So that's 100% times 1/3. Then we also have half of 1/3, so that is the one red side on the red-black card. And that is 0 of 1/3, so that is the 0 sides of the black-black card. And that equals 1.5 divided by 3, obviously,
Right.
which we reduce to 1/2, right? You could express it as 3/2 over 2, but you would never do that, right? No, it's over 3.
It's over 3.
Which, of course, I'm gonna stop writing now. Well, because then you divide this whole thing by 3, and then that equals 1/2, right? We're gonna leave that up here. Professor Gore teaches tomorrow, and she's gonna have to see all this stuff, right? Okay. Do you all have Professor Gore? Some of you might have Professor Gore for survival. Some of you might know Professor Gore from other aspects of existence. Unlike my other faculty colleagues, I spawned into being fully formed exactly at the beginning of this class, and I will cease to exist after the final. Okay, but I'll still write you letters of recommendation even though I don't exist. Okay, imagine half of all rainy days start off cloudy in the morning. So this person has never lived in the Pacific Northwest because every single day starts off rainy and cloudy. They're both 0.1 or 1.0. Okay. However, we live in a cloudy place, and 40% of days start off cloudy, and 90% of days this time of year. Oh, come on. Let's be less precise. Okay. Do not have rain. So we make fun of this, right? But the way I predict what the weather is going to be like tomorrow, because I haven't figured out how to type weather into a search engine, is I just assume every day will be exactly the same as the previous day. And this is almost exactly as accurate as meteorology. Don't tell Professor Gore, she's a meteorologist. Okay, so what are the odds it will rain today? Figure it out. This is exercise 2. I'm going to walk around and I'm going to talk to you. I have shown you 2 ways. I have used the probability space manner, and I have used the graph manner. You do not have to use these techniques. Of course, you can just write out formulas. But figure it out. Jacob, were you playing cards?
Yeah.
Which makes sense because this is the probability part of class. The trick to preventing students in your class from being poorly behaved is to have no rules. Then there's nothing they can do wrong. I've bamboozled all of you. Okay. Exercise 2, figure it out. I have to go get water because my voice is going to explode, and then I'll be right back. Okay.
Initially, I did it so that I had a red and black and a red card and a black card. That's why I got the cards.
I'm not going to say I'm disappointed.
Okay. Exactly. I was just trying to visualize. That's what I was doing. In the form of a game of solid.
Why don't you just go to the next slide?
Well, because I want to try and learn, you know?
Googling
It's just this one, right?
Oh my goodness, this is terrible.
I forgot I have
That sounds right.
I mean, I knew
logically, yeah.
because it doesn't say it starts out college.
Well,
Oh, it's a okay.
okay, so
I would love that, but every time I get to almost when I'm not working, I'm like, I'm just gonna have fun.
50% of all rainy days? Oh, I was thinking of like, of all days.
Really got into sleep one day, and my family was so happy.
Because you're taking the 90% of those.
No.
It doesn't have it, so 10% you do have it.
No, it's one of those,
10% probably
Yes.
have.
I'm finally knowing.
Wait, 90% of time? 90% of the
teaching me that I really need to
I think that's what I was getting to. I think that's what I was getting to. I just skipped the getting the 50% part. Because I was thinking half of the 10%.
Oh, yeah.
0 points, 0
Yeah, that's like a super easy ring.
We should figure out.
What?
Okay, probability of X and X.
Well, I got the playing cards out because we were doing cards. And then I wanted to play solid. Here we are.
Oh, I forgot this part.
I didn't drink.
No, I didn't. Oh, wait. Oh, yes, I did. Wait, no. Because you have this.
Smaller.
This, which is what this is.
Yeah, that's
Then that's right there. Times this
Forty
again.
percent of the days, and then we're taking 90% of that 20%. Because in order to the range. I was right.
I also told him about sorry, mathematical. Because
Yeah, yes, that's my assumption. That's my assumption.
It's like, no, it's like,
That's terrible.
Honestly,
It's like
I hated it at the time, but
I
really,
think
I'm glad I
that
did it.
maybe not for
Because it definitely changed the way that I did.
I think, like, I think that it's like the odds that it will range
Which one made it so hard?
today. I think is what this question is supposed to say. Yeah, I think that's what the question's asking. Or like what they meant to ask. Right, yeah. Yeah. No, half. So it's like the probability that it will rain this time of year is 10%. So I multiplied that 10% by 50% of rain days that start out cloudy. Divided by 40%. Actually.
And he what file?
Yeah, so it's like 1.25.
Yes, I have the text file, so I'm going to
Yeah. Which is why.
Yeah, you're right.
Nice.
No, we just.
I'll figure it out.
That's fun.
So like, in our case, right, the probability of, it raining over the probability of it, well, actually, I think this would be the probability it's cloudy. This would be the probability of it raining given that it's cloudy. Over the probability of it being cloudy. So like the probability that it is cloudy and rainy.
Optimal spinning.
I'm silly.
Yes. Yes.
Respectfully.
Yes.
There's a few of that.
Yes. The probability of G bigger. So like the probability. Yeah.
Everybody's getting fast. She is watching a YouTube video with captions on and swiping on Tinder. Just applied these balls. That's not even the most entertaining story ever.
Because it's probably
Yeah, I absolutely do. But you're my freshman.
yes, and in our case, the probability of
So what's the specified
probability of clouds, and the probability of
Yes.
rain.
Yes.
And this is the probability that it is cloudy if it rains.
That's my sex.
Actually, it's a false idea. You could have paid me to be a freshman.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
So, where did you cloudy?
What?
I mean,
Yeah. Because, or like the days that it starts on. Yeah. Like the probability.
I make the wrong
Yeah. Yeah. So the probability the day starts off cloudy is
Not gonna do
0.5.
So usually when the day starts off cloudy, because otherwise it's just.
I'm done with.
Well, I've also learned this.
so impressed if he makes it look like
Sorry, 12 and a half.
Well, I'm certain there are things you guys know that I don't. Yeah. I've done it all more recently.
Oh, the stream's current bit rate is lower than recommended. Oh gosh, it's a panic. Okay, I have one party trick. So, I think I've maybe shared this story previously, and this is my last story before dinner. I taught a class over this summer, and there was a student that learned from recurring character Professor Jed Rembold how to write like web scrapers, and was web scraping my website that had the slides on it. And I was like, that is like not a great use of your time. So I want to always make sure I show a few tricks you can use. Okay. So first of all, I put in a table of contents, and there's some tools here, and there is, for example, PDF export mode. Some of you might want this, which is like, maybe that's nice, maybe you're into this, right? I'm assuming you are going to save it on your hard drive. Sorry, solid state drive. I forgot what year it was, right? Like, cut me some slack, right? I will sometimes press R, which changes the scroll bar on the side, right? So I press R again, or I don't even know how to go back. And so now you have like free scroll, and it's like sort of like, I don't know, infinity scroll? Is this what we like? Do we like this? Okay. And then the last thing I wanted to show you, because it's here, I have this example. I have a touchpad, so I can do the usual like multi-touch thing, and I'm going to do it with 2 fingers, so it's easier to see what I'm doing. Where you go like, woo, yeah, woo. And you all are the touch screen people, right? You all have smartphones. Yeah, I have a Nokia. Not anymore, but I used to. And then I can also use Control minus and Control plus in sort of the scroll mode, right? I don't know how to get out of scroll mode, so I'm going to press F5. I'm going to use the, what am I going to do? Oh, I broke everything. Oh, I'm in view print. That's why nothing works, okay? This demo is getting more cursed all the time. Okay. So we were in algorithm. Where's algorithm? There it is, algorithm. Okay. Over here, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And so I have control, and I think on Macs you use the other key that we don't speak of in polite company, right? And then I can use pluses and minuses. And mostly you'll see it change at the bottom, but at some point you like max out how far you can zoom in and out, and then it jumps to size. This has auto scaling, so it's supposed to fit on your screen, but you can always overpower the auto scaling by zooming in and out enough. I want you to be aware of all of those things in case you ever need them for something. And then lastly, I think I post all of the Quarto markdown somewhere.
Yeah.
And so you can always just add a sork in between lec. But you can also find it on GitHub and all of your favorite places. Okay, can I go back? Dinner time. Oh no, it's not quummed. It's hitimal. Where's algorithm?
Oh, yeah. I used to know how to play it. I remember it. Yeah.
You probably don't need one.
I don't think I know that one. I used to. I'm so sorry. I'll learn a trick for next week.
What? Or you can pay attention in class.
That makes sense.
True.
Or at least take stats like a normal person, so it's not stripping the instructor.
Okay, I can do that.
Toiling away in obscurity over here. If you have time to play cards, you have time to learn Python.
That's true.
That is.
Period.
Yeah, that's what
Bitch probably listens.
Cards that you have, and then you match to cards
card, like if I have a so.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it's some card that whoever ends up Joker.
Yeah. I see. I see. Nice. That makes sense.
So far, cross-pollination. Have we gone over? Okay. This is all just formulating building blocks. Differentiate.
Human with an occupation. Substitute teacher. This guy's school district. I led data science and Christian for the spring. I think I applied for like 8 for the spring and like 5 during the summer. I got an interview for 1 and I didn't get it. So, yep, substitute teaching. Let's go. I'll be back.
That's why I think I now recognize where I'm at.
I just learned how to do this. That's how we know
You still don't have our media. Yeah. Yeah, ours have been done in a folder for like 5 hours. And they just won't send me. I did not.
No, stop it.
I have edits to do. I mean, all your banana chips. The kids from Costco. A boiled purple round turkey jerky. They're like, big bag, like $9. Wow.
So we probably do. Feels like large. Crazy. Yeah, no, it sounds like we're asking people if that's something kind of outline. Just so more. Surprisingly, I didn't use those, but so
Well, also like when Brady does pressure that often, like he's still being paid. Like he's still on that way.
just really throw a lot of escape right now. We know for the 20 series. Sorry.
I love competition. You love probability.
Yeah, I was. No. I did because I was like, it's broken, and then it's actually not broken. I would never do something like messaging another professor in somebody else's class.
I have to go get calories, and I'm leaving now, which means I'll be back a little late, so I'll entertain yourself. Sorry. I will just talk 7% fast.
I learned that today. You see it in my Discord. I was literally just like, I can't see it. What's wrong? I can't find it. I checked everywhere. Now I'm struggling to get files out of it. I was able to upload, but now I can't remember what my...
I remember doing interactions, but I don't know how to make it a variable because it just gives you one number.
Oh yeah, you
pull from the server.
yeah. Yep. Thank you. He's like, I clearly need to make it more obvious. This is the second question I've had about it.
Yeah.
I was looking into like the cache and everything. I was like, where is this file?
I
was like, I can't find anything. And I was like, because I think maybe it's just like when I'm in a Calvin class or anything like that, or that used to be like file name, but like you had to know in the file. And like even when I did like map A, still in the file, it still wasn't there. And so I was just like, it's not here. It's not here. And I somehow log in with the browser there. Like, and I was like, I'm gonna go next. This is it. You might have tagged over on Jet. Just been like, okay, yep, that was very obvious. Thank you for that. No. The amount of times I've had questions that was just rolled onto, it was obvious. Move past it, and they're like, what did I just say yes to? Yeah. Because that feels like a better way of communicating than saying like, I don't understand, because we get only person who don't understand, and you're like, you guys don't hold on to us. College math is completely different than any other class. People can say like, what's 1 plus 1? I'll be like, I think that's yeah. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know now. Because I don't know. See, I thought I was good at math. Then I chose something that was math adjacent and still sucked.
I also thought it was good. That makes all the and it's just like that wasn't fun.
I took stats and I loved it. I did great in stats. Both the stats classes I took, I did fantastic in. Felt confident, did great. And then I got to a theory now. I was like, ooh, I don't like theoretical. Take those letters and put them back where that came from. 50, please. The diagonals of 15 for getting half, but at least they had half. Because it's a part. So like that I can deal with. But literally in my linear algebra class, the amount of times I had to ask the professor, I'm like, because I'm also pretty dyslexic. So like we're doing matrix multiplication right now. And so they're doing all like the A, B, C, D, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, can we put hats on like the B's or something? Because otherwise I literally cannot tell the difference. So she'll like write it off as like that like A, B, C, D, whatever for the determinant. And I'll be sitting there and I was like the first one like, is it B's, is it two C's, is it what? I don't know which one's which. And I would explain to her like after class, I was like, are you like dyslexic? So like I cannot do this. And she's like, you can understand something that happens. I was like, audibly, yes. That's why I was just like, can you go back to the numbers?
Yeah.
And then I picked something that like, it was like, oh man, rather than that English major, I won't have to do that much you know, that I'm reading code all the time, and that has that's still all letters. It's all letters. There's no escaping them.
I know you're just seeing the hate in your heart.
That I'm not surprised about. Because I was looking at my computer and I saw that hand movement in the corner of my eye, and then my hand went back down, and it was like, did I do something? Do we have beef that I'm unaware of? Like, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's what we have go about is vision control.
Like there's a lead out. Yeah, I tried that 2 times. No, we didn't even. I went back to like the beginning. Yeah, and it was still in there.
No one.
But yeah, right.
Even my mom is like,
That's what I remember.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
and then you compare that. So it's more of this the difference between those numbers.
It's just my
Is it intuitive?
I'm so used to just like, anytime I see that,
Because to me,
like anyone who wears a necklace.
the difference between two is either 0 or 1. Yes. Yeah.
Because I'm doing
Okay. No, because you have the 4 square root of n and then you have the 4 square root of n plus 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's heavy.
Yeah.
Also, like,
I was like, so much games. I don't know if it's exactly.
Well, I still say
Oh, yes. Yeah. 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 No, it was there.
I'm fine.
That's a good reason. Definitely. I agree. Same page.
It's dark, you know?
I was productive all day today.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I mean, I checked out.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Slow is better than broken.
She had her face on like, it's tighter than I was. I was tired for but she's so nice. Wednesday night, If you're just gonna leave me be, well, I can drop in play.
Well, maybe this means I can sit in the front. You won't be here.
Yeah, Tatum's not gonna be here, so it's gonna be like, maybe I'll, so it's like, well, I objected to my other.
No, there's no one.
And I guess Jake. I guess Jake.
Maybe I'll sit in the front again.
Driving to Washington.
Yeah.
It's better.
The drive to Washington.
I mean, it is so much that first watch the back. Like that is what I do. I do backstroke, not this.
Are you driving?
Yeah, no, trust. Just in case anyone has any, everybody in how we get it. This is what we do. It's not acceptable.
Well, I mean, it's like,
Yeah, it's just, I mean, what is
I don't know, it's not even about the game.
No one else could adapt.
yeah. Our AD now is one of the.
Oh, now?
Technically world flavor, but I should have like that. That's what I call it. It should be like Facebook.
No.
Oh my god. That's terrible timing for 6 7.
Shut up. I'm giving you sandwich flowers, okay? It was a good fight, mustard and
Oh my god, Grace Bethany.
Oh my gosh.
Still gonna be good.
Yeah, her parents were terrified of me. Like, who is this man? Yes. Any chance you can get a data science conference soon? Because I could get a job there too.
Which is a study of
Doesn't it? Yeah.
that's what they're in the statute. Specifically, everything else. Consuming processed meats, cured meats, specifically cured meats. There's something not right. At least statistically not right. Enough for me to go.
What's the time score?
we could have stopped talking about this, because I'm like, didn't make sense when I said it was a video.
Just that.
Are you driving home in the snow? That's not on the way. Yeah, yeah. I'm just saying, this is like. I think it's a year. Oh, no.
The code? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Feels like they did Yeah. Okay, I'll put it on the yeah. The guy who I have really nice dog, he's a fine other
No, it's actually
yeah, I've seen all the books. The one thing I do for and the bathroom things. Yeah. Aw, that's cute. Okay, so it's just like the Garfield last year. It already was. That's awesome. Yeah. you've seen the High School Cookies episode, and she's like hosting a party at her house, and she's got like a barbecue couch, go down the groceries. You haven't seen this? Oh, okay, well, she's like, my house could be the party house. Yeah. I'll send it around. Sorry. I don't know. I have to agree. It's like homework for Bioshock with them such stuff. Yeah. I think it'll be the hardest one. Yeah, not really. This one's very yeah.
There we go.
Right down. Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's in class. Very colorful stuff. Immaculate.
That's not from my Amazon search, that's from hers.
Okay. Well, I guess we learned that's all funny.
You just see more
Okay, well, thanks for the tip. She was not like in my intention, like do a copy of.
How did you get the files from
So the other.
Yeah, exactly. Just get it over with. Like, don't keep me suspense. My heart can't take this.
I'm not going to use his stuff. Oh, you remember getting the tracker?
I like the email that they give me. Like, okay, we're gonna get to it eventually.
Another email. Oh, do you have expected timeline?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's a good, really scary number. Brianna's like really physical too. She's like her breath and all this stuff. Yeah. Well, and also I'm just yeah, every single time I look at it, it's staring at me. It's really annoying. I hope not. Yeah.
It's 7:30, it's the dinner break.
Yeah. It's a lot.
That's so exciting.
You don't have to. You can do coffee.
You prove whether I have a life or not.
I don't there. I can tell. I see it every day. What do you do with the flippers zero?
What is that?
Wi-Fi does work for it?
Stop. Yeah.
You know the Wi-Fi still?
I can't.
I am not sure.
But you just like have to like really put it up. You like turned off the projector one time. I sent you my.
I know. The amount of times I've called on you for, am I doing this right?
I don't really ask me how you been SEO about
I did, but now I'm like, I know I'm doing it wrong. I think you're wrong.
So I could not be 50% of Maryland's have
We have established that you're right.
You turn all the other way.
Oh, because it's like a little bit sideways. Yeah, it works. There's like a little dolphin. That's
I know I have my fair pair of glasses. We are not the same.
No, it's on like
The podcast of negative 7.
water stock, but
No, that's 3.
No, negative 7 on Mars. Yeah, no, I am blind.
what is this? Lee group. Yeah, I'm gonna do a lot more research.
Every time
And they should still be alive. So we saw them like 2 weeks ago in January, and they're supposed to last like December to May.
told me to not look at things, I just take off my glasses.
I'm gonna harass my
How does it work? I don't know how it works.
We'll never know.
Oh gosh.
Here until Thanksgiving, I didn't have
Is there like a button?
That's so true.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
No.
Yeah. So you have never noticed it not having. So you.
Oh, yeah. So you guys are already taking data.
That's why.
Oh.
You probably could.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I'm currently. Yeah.
Please work.
Yeah.
What happened while I was gone? It was fine.
Okay.
That's fine. It was fine the whole time. So, this thing about numbers that's interesting is that in addition to being able to multiply them together, you can multiply them together more than once and also divide them. Dividing being, of course, also multiplication, but with extra steps. Remember, this is the one I did this thing on? Yeah, remember that? Okay. Does that like hurt our brains or something?
Yes.
Close your eyes. I guess it gives me like motion sickness. I don't know. So you were probably all thinking last week, how do I determine, like, this is an example for Chardonnay, which I didn't know had cherry tasting notes, right? But like, say I've like got some tasting note on my wine, like poppin' or snazzy, right? Or crisp. It may be the case that I want to determine whether that is more strongly affiliated with Oregon or the Casablanca Valley in Chile, or any other place, right? And so we can take compositions over this sort of Bayes theorem. And one way to do this is see the probability of a given label given some features, right? There's a little bit of a tricky thing going on here, right? I went from just an event or an observation or a random variable, right, Features, right, that is a vector over observations. In the R project for statistical computing, those features can be numerical or factors or indicators or any other thing, right? So this got considerably more nuanced between here, where these are both numbers, right? And here, where this is a vector, right? But, right, we can say a vector of things has some probability, and in fact I did that earlier with the logical and notation, right? The probability of, I don't remember what it was, cloudy and rainy or something, right? Oh, I guess can it rain without being cloudy? Rainbows aren't real. Okay. So I just found out that the updates I made to these slides before I thought I came down here didn't make it through. So what is this? This is a loose $sign from LaTeX expressions inside Quarto, right? So many of you have been turning in K and N assignments where K is expressed the same way as any other letter is, which that could be fine. I jammed my K between $signs, so it was the variable K. And I only did that to K because NN are initialisms. They are two letters describing nearest neighbors, right? They do not represent a variable. Only K represents a variable. So I threw K between $signs in my write-ups. And I would encourage you to do this as well. Okay, so we're going to use naive Bayes to actually solve a real problem. And that problem is, how do we make wineries in Oregon a boatload of money? And I suspect the trick is to pretend we're Californians, right? Because that's how we do things, right? So we can combine these. We can do a composition here. This is a LaTeX align. Do you all know is LaTeX taught in an earlier thing in this? Should I teach you? I should teach you all LaTeX. Do you all need to know how to write formulas? How do you write formulas in your notes? Do you write them by hand? But that's fine. Okay, that's fine. And then you can take a picture if you need to. Okay. LaTeX became significantly less useful when generative AIs sprung into existence. Okay. So say we wish to find the probability of cherry, right? And this is that a random variable? Kind of, right? So this represents that there is the term cherry in the tasting notes. This is capitalized. Do we need to assume that? No, not really, right? Fruit, and then also from the Bordeaux region. So we're sort of overloading our notation here, right? Because this is province, and then these ones are from descriptor. We're still taking no notice of taster or things like that, right? So when we say naive, what does that naive refer to? Because Bay caught me naive-in, right? Right? Yeah? Okay. I can say it as many times as I want because I'm teaching the class. You can become a professor if you want to say that. Okay, naive assumption is independence. So we assume no correlation, right? We just take the naive combination of these different features, right? So the probability of cherry given Chardonnay, of fruit given Chardonnay. So if half of them have cherry, half of them have fruit, and half of them are from Bordeaux, this is 0.125, which was one of the answers to one of your examples, right? And we assume no correlation. Now, I'm a little suspicious because I don't know a lot about wine, but I do know that cherry is a fruit. That's true, right? It's not a berry, is it? Are berries a type of fruit?
Are you asking about horticultural, or are you asking about quality?
Moving on. Okay. Have any of you heard of R?
No.
Let's get down to business. To statistically compute. Did you send me mutates when I asked for glimpse? I don't know. That's the best I got. Okay, so we're going to grab some tasting notes from the description. You all did this on your homework, right? And which all of you finished before class, even though it's not due until midnight anywhere on Earth, right? Because we like dutifully working ahead to impress our professor and give them a good night's sleep where they're not stressed out that some of you aren't going to finish your homework on time, right? We would never want our professors to be stressed out. They don't need our help. Okay, so that was a good one, right? Yeah. Okay, so we converted years to factors, basically, right? And these things are unremarkable. What's wrong with this? There's one thing here that should bother you.
not including case.
It's not including case is what I was going for. Did anyone else say something more clever than that? Okay. I'm going to tell you what I'm not allowed to say that I was going to say. This is in R instead of Python. Okay, all right, moving on. Okay. My teaching evals my first semester teaching in this program are like, can Calvin shut up about Python? No, I can't. Okay. I couldn't even do that in Python. I just think it's funny. Okay, so let's do a conditional probability. How are we going to do this? We're going to filter provinces Oregon and Cherry, right? Okay. I'd call this thing logical AND, right? Would you all call that logical AND, or is there a different term of AND you'd refer to that? It is also Boolean AND, perhaps? And that is similar to the logical AND I put in my very first thing, where I said probability of A and B, right? So we have probability of Oregon and probability of Cherry, right? Something that it seems a little bit weird to me, I don't love this, there's nothing really wrong with that, right? This is an expression, province equals Oregon, geez, okay. This is an expression, and this is a variable. That doesn't matter, we can combine them, right? So we're going to filter that. What is this? So we're going to count the number of rows after we filter wine. Do you think we're supposed to say wino or vino? You should have an opinion on that. You should be opinionated. Okay, so we're going to filter for Oregon and Cherry divided by the amount of wino. Vino? Winnow? Winona Ryder. Okay. So we have Oregon and Cherry. We have Cherry that we established the same way, right? Simple filter operations. I love filter, by the way. So, okay. Filter is like one of the oldest functions in any programming language. This is an original 1960 Lisp processing function from Lisp 1960, the second oldest programming language after Fortran. We're kind of sensitive about that. But, and R is Lisp-based, and also that programming language was invented as a programming language for artificial intelligence in 1960. So if anyone ever asks you how long people have been doing AI, the answer is too long. Okay, so we have Oregon and Cherry. We divide that by Cherry, and what do we get? We get 0.31. So the probability of, what is that? Oregon and Cherry divided by Cherry is the probability of Oregon given Cherry. So of the cherry wines, anyone from North Carolina and love cheer wine? That's pretty close to cherry wine. Yeah? If you see Professor Gore mention cheer wine, you might get extra credit. 32%, right? And you know we're rounding a little bit. Well, it's a little bit of rounding between friends. I could truncate. I could say 31%. No one can stop me. Right. Have any of you heard of the great state of New York? Can we hear it for the New York Jets?
No.
Can we hear it for... That's the only thing I know of from New York.
That's so sad. That's like the worst thing.
I'm going to say one thing. Senator Hillary Clinton. Okay, so we've got the probability of New York given Cherry. There's probably more than one. Spider-Man? Bagels! That's not exclusive. Okay, fair enough. Pizza. Okay, all right. What are we doing? We're doing the exact same operations, right? And what do you know? Not very much cheer wine is from New York. Why is that? What percent of wines are from New York? Well, we don't know, but on one of the assignments, you checked Pinots from Oregon, California, and New York, and you saw that 9% of such wines were from New York, right? Now, I don't know how many of them were from Oregon, but it's not too surprising to me that that thing appears to be about 10% of the size of the Oregon one, right? Because I've seen a relation between things before where New York was 10% of the size of something else. Now, I'm a little bit surprised because as I continue to think about this, I remember that that was New York relative to both California and Oregon. And I remember from my confusion matrices that there are many more California wines than Oregon wines. I have walked around this class many times and heard many of you say, I don't know anything about wine. I don't either, but I know all of those things from taking this class, right? I am beginning to develop an intuitive sense for these matters, and you can as well. This is not true just of wines, right? You can do this with everything. I've put a great deal of effort into, for example, remembering the comparative populations of US states and of other more economically developed countries, and of also, developing countries in certain parts of the world, right? Having the ability to reason about all these things has been very interesting. This is a very specific example, but not too long ago, I was riding a plane across the country. I was on top of the plane. I was not inside of it. That's why I say riding rather than flying in. And I was sitting next to someone who was opinionated on U.S.-China trade relations, right? Which was very interesting to me because this person did not know that the Taiwanese semiconductor manufacturing company was not based in mainland China, which is like relatively important to me because I live in Oregon and the entire state's economy is propped up by Intel, a semiconductor company, right? And so tariffs, which is how I spell tariffs, on the People's Republic of China do not affect the Taiwanese Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation, a $1 trillion company that manufactures 90% of the world's semiconductors, right? I thought that was relevant to our discussion. And I knew that because I stare at data sets all day and notice where $1 trillion companies are from, right? And the only one from China, I think, is like, I don't even know. Maybe Alibaba's up there, right? But like, it's not TSMC, right? So you know that about reading the news, but you also know things now about this wine data set because you've been doing your homework in this class before class starts, even though it's not due until midnight anywhere on Earth, right? Okay, so when we see these things that are about that far apart, that doesn't actually tell us too much about the prevalence of cherry in the data set. Notice I am also not revealing New York and cherry to you. I'm not revealing that to you. You can compute it yourself. You all have R open running in front of you, presumably, and you can establish these values. Okay, that's my anecdote on the Taiwanese. I think about semiconductors a lot because I would like to have a job. I mean, I have this one, but I would like you all to have jobs. Set seed 505. In theory, this means that we are going to find the same wine index value every time. How would we determine that? Well, we'd open up R, and then we would load this in, and then we would see if we get the same wine index value. So you could do that with your partner, or you could not worry about it. If it turns out set seed doesn't work, which I have no reason to believe it works, I just took this code and started using it. I changed all the 504s to 505s because this class used to be taught as data 504. If it turns out that set seed isn't helping, you can take it out, and it doesn't matter. Okay, we're taking the Windex. We're using a create data partition. What is this thing going to return? Well, to the best of my knowledge, this is a vector that determines whether something is present or absent within vino, which is short for vinegar. Okay, and we're going to do so over the provinces. We're going to place p equals, oh look, it's a p-value. We're going to place, that's not a p-value, that's probably, okay. Don't listen to me. Wait, no, I can't say that. That's recursive. If I say don't listen to me, then you have, right? Yeah, so this theorem has no proof, right? Okay. Are we all good on create data partitions, or do I have to dig myself out of this particular hole I found myself in? Can I get one of these ones? All right, cool. There's been some discussion about train. So what's the difference between taking naive Bayes, perhaps as a function, KNN is a corresponding function in the R project for statistical computing, versus training? Well, when we use train accepts a series of arguments, or parameters we call them, right? The first one of these is a formula in the formulas API, which is what this tilde means. API used to stand for Application Program Interface. I don't know if that's true anymore. But this is just a way of expressing relationships between things. So this is a regression over all of the features. That should remind us of when I said P of something given features, right? We furnish a single data set, or a data frame in this case, which is the training data set. And then we're going to specify the method. Now, the things we have been specifying here as methods, one example, the first thing we used to train over in this class was LM for linear model, which was the most basic model that we began with. Now, when we train using a linear model, that is not the same thing as taking a linear model. This is taking a combination of linear models and then using what? A metric to determine the comparative goodness of a given linear model and then returning the best of said models. Okay? And then how are we going to determine which different naive Bayes samples? I guess we're sampling over a distribution of models. We're going to specify a training control. In this case, this is the cross-validation method. So what we're going to do is we're going to perform cross-validation. I'm using this one with all default arguments, right? I don't know what the default arguments are. I know it'll work. I'm going to use the kappa value, which is the same way we can evaluate the goodness of K and N. And I'm going to use that to take a number of naive Bayes and return the most performant one, right? So this is distinct from taking a naive Bayes model. This is taking a combination of naive Bayes models, right? It's worth pointing out from the discussions I've had that both method and train control are like sort of mathematical operations in some sense. Naive Bayes is a way to take a data frame and get back some descriptions of how to classify things over it. And train control is a way to take functions, such as this method, and apply them to a data frame multiple times and evaluate the comparative merits of them. So this is a combination of two different mathematical operations, one of which has the goal of describing the data set, and one of which has the goal of establishing which of models are the best for some data set, right? So one of them is higher order and operates over the other one, and that's what training does. Does anyone want to ask me any questions about what train means? Can I get a choo-choo from the audience? Can I get a chugga-chugga? Anyways, here's the basic model. You may notice that this is atrocious. Look at that. That's humiliating. I don't even know what Laplace is. So it turns out naive Bayes doesn't work that well. I guess we all get to go home early. Oh no, there's 30 slides left. Oh gosh. Oh, okay. Oh, how many minutes do we have? Oh gosh. That is one slide every 87 seconds. Okay. So, okay, well, it's also wrong. Okay. So, okay, I have to tell an anecdote. Ryan, did you say that? You believed it? Okay. My first or second semester at Willamette University, I taught a class called cybersecurity, and I started teaching cryptography and number theory, and then it turns out a bunch of people in that class didn't know abstract analysis, which was shocking to me, right? How many people in here know abstract analysis? Right, so you can see it's confusing that I thought, yeah, like all of you know abstract analysis, right? And I knew abstract analysis, so I assumed we all did, right? So anyways, instead of teaching a bunch of number theory, I was like, well, we should talk about applied cybersecurity. And one of the applications of cybersecurity is if you, like, for example, type cybersecurity into Google, you're going to get a bunch of results from, like, the Department of Homeland Security, right? And this is interesting, and this is politically interesting to me. And so I thought, well, in the absence of number theory, we can do the next most interesting thing, which is critical theory, right? And we can think critically about the world around us. So anyways, I trained, the model I was training in that class was 17 undergraduates. So that was my method, right? And my train control was I delivered 90-minute lectures a series of times throughout that class. And we read different things about, for example, Edward Snowden or the Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack from North Carolina, where I'm from, over time. One day in that class, I gave my students a report that was wrong. It was a very clear piece of propaganda written by a NATO signals officer about something that did not happen and had no other sources. And all of the students believed it because I assigned it as a reading in class. And so the lesson of class that day was never believe anything that anyone teaches you unless it is consistent or you can demonstrate its veracity through some mechanisms other than those taught within the context of the class, right? I did not necessarily, I was never trained this formally. I just realized at some point my teachers didn't know what they were talking about. And so I stopped believing them at some point. And this dramatically increased the quality of my education because it turns out most teachers know some things, right? Some of you have noticed that not everything I say in this class is actually correct. That's good. That's fine, right? I don't like go out of my way to lie to you or anything, right? Because apparently I gave all of those students trust issues, so I don't intentionally give wrong lectures anymore, even though I thought it was a valuable thing to do. I have also sat in on other people's lectures, and I know they're not always saying the correct thing either, right? Like, please never trust me. One of the benefits of never trusting me in this class is I'm giving you source code. You can just see if it works, right? Like if I claim this code does something and I'm wrong, you can test it and we can talk about why I'm wrong, right? Perhaps you already know why I'm wrong, right? I am claiming that this model produces garbage results. I'm presenting you with evidence, right? It seems reasonable to believe this to me. But if you run this on your own computer and it says kappa 0.8, you probably should be very suspicious of everything I say for the rest of your life, right? So I'm now going to make the claim that by binning the data, and bin, of course, is the prefix to binary, which is the best number system. Can I get some hearty guffaws for binary? Okay, just me then. All right, that's no problem. I can laugh at my own jokes. Okay, so we're gonna bin the data, and we're actually not going to use binary. We're going to use trinary, right? Because there's 3 different bins: low, medium, and high. I don't have anything funny to say about that. Actually, that's too bad. Gas prices? Okay. It's funny because it's true. Okay. So we're going to omit years. Why can we do that? Well, because we converted them to factors. We don't care about that. And we're not going to do anything else. Okay. So we're going to take the points and we're going to bin the points. We're going to say everything under 90 is low. Anything between, what is that, 90 and 96 is mid. That says med. That's a typo. This is mid. Okay. And then 96 and higher is high. That seems a little bit high because, to my knowledge, there's 196 from Oregon ever. Does anyone know anything about wine? There's not that many 96s from Oregon. Like, my impression is 96s are from France and California. And what do we think about France and California? Sure. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay. Right. We're going to do this with price. How many of you think of a $40 bottle of wine as medium priced? That's what I thought. Anyways, soon you'll be making that filthy, dirty cash money with your data science salaries, and you will only buy wines from the high category. Why? To support the local economy and give back to the region, right? Remember, we are serving our community by drinking. Okay. I asked Jameson to teach this class, and he said yes. Can you believe that? Okay. All right. Year. That stands for years since F, right? And as you all know, the Call of Duty press F to play your specs meme came out in 2005, so that's why that's here. And if you remember that, you are old, right? And then I graduated high school in 2011, which is recent, right? Can anyone name a single other thing that happened in 2011?
Tsunami in Japan after that air. I remember that because I was over there.
I got a bike for my birthday.
So you all actually do remember 2011. Okay, I don't remember anything from that year. And then everything more recent than that is current, right? So what is this? 3 bins, 3 categories. How many combinations is that? Well, 3 times 3 times 3, which is
27.
Thank you, good job. Okay, and then we're going to remove price, points, and year. And then we're going to look at the head. And it didn't fit, so I put it on this next slide, right? So we have low points. You can tell that because they're from Oregon. And as I mentioned, I'm pretty sure all of the high-scoring wines are Californian. Here's a really fun thing. Here's a high price with a low score. That's great. Why? Okay, and it's also recent. Love it here. I paid $8.25 for a mocha. Okay, which is like also the only thing I'm eating today. I'm not a good role model. But if you want me to be a role model, I am on Instagram at Calvin Allegedly. Okay, so we're setting the seed again. We're doing all the same operations I have previously introduced this. Okay, so, right, you're all smart, right? Okay, we're going to do a mantra. Repeat after me. I'm smart. I'm good. I'm valid. I'm worthy. I drive safely. I just got back from Georgia. You all drive safely here. Okay, we've improved slightly, but not too significantly. Why does it make sense to use bins with naive Bayes? Well, versus KNN, where we want to see if things are close along a variety of axes. With naive Bayes, right, we're taking probabilities across features, right? If we split everything up into years, cross tasting notes, cross provinces, and so on, we're going to have extremely small numbers everywhere, right? To me, I would expect that to lead to too high of variance. I'd be probably overfitting my data set. Multiplying large numbers of small numbers together is just, it feels sketchy to me, right? It's not too surprising that the kappa went up a little bit when I did some of this sort of grouping operations, but if I were super into machine learning, which we all are, right, I would probably want to use some actual machine learning methods to decide what those high, low, medium things are. And I would definitely want to de-skew my prices for inflation across about 10 years, right? So there's a variety of operations you can do. Now, the problem with all of that stuff is it's a lot of code to type in to your computer, right? And we might be able to get pretty good operations without that. That said, I really do want to introduce and drive home the usefulness of the binning model for naive Bayes because it is consistent with the graph I drew on the board, right? We binned things by card. We binned days by cloud, right? We didn't have a numerical value measuring the amount of cloudiness, right? So these bins are a useful technology. There isn't anything inherent about bins or naive Bayes that goes together. It just makes sense in some sort of human reasoning perspective, right? And we can demonstrate it makes sense by taking these measurements. Yes?
Conversely to that, is binning with a KNN model like not recommended?
So try it is the actual answer, right? I would suggest just that I have an intuitive sense I should bin with naive Bayes specifically, and I didn't go back and check it on KNN, right? But my impression of KNN is when I was thinking about how KNN should work, I was coming to the conclusion that I should be adding features and doing feature engineering, and that I shouldn't necessarily be worried about trying to get things that have fixed probability amounts. And I think to me that's matching this intuitive notion of the difference or distinction between distance and probability. With these probabilities taking products across large numbers of small numbers, I expect to have high variance because I'm combining a lot of numbers that have small bins in them. With the distances, I don't expect that to matter because I'm always using the k value. I could write a proof that this has certain properties, right? But like, which properties would I even be going for? I'm just building the intuition at this point. But you should try binning a KNN and see what happens, right? We have the modeling assignment coming up. Who's heard of text? I know, I was surprised too. Jameson's specialty, to my understanding, is computational linguistics. And we do happen to have a data set that has a lot of words in it, right? It also has language in it. The descriptions are written in a language that most of us know. To my knowledge, other descriptions are written in English. Has anyone looked at them? Is there like a French description in there? I've only seen English. And I think the reason they're all written in English, including in France, is because these are sampled from English language publications. I don't know if that's true, but that was my impression from looking at the critics. Right. One of the benefits of working in the context of a single language, right, is we don't have to do the whole reserva thing we did with the names of wines in a previous week. Was that week 1? That was an early week. That was way back in the olden days, right? Back in the before times. Okay, so when you are working with language, one of the things that makes sense to me is I've read a few sentences in my days, and many of the words in sentences are linking words. So there are, of course, for example, the being verbs. I've said are at very high density in the sentences I've been saying tonight. Probably 1 out of 20 of my words is are, A-R-E, which is some conjugation of to be in English, right? There are many R's when I'm speaking. The articles are overused, a, the. Many of the prepositions are overused. I think of the most common 10 words in English. I think of is always up there. What does this mean? Well, this means when we're looking at descriptions, we might want to have some words that we exclude from consideration. In the tidy text package, we call them packages, not libraries, right? Okay. In the tidy text package, there is something called stop words. here are 25 stop words. Also, that doesn't mean anything. Although, that doesn't mean anything. Always alone. That doesn't mean anything. Moving on. Okay. So, this is an inverse dictionary. As a rule, the linguists looked into this. I don't know the exact process by which linguists solve problems, right? But when they began to analyze large amounts of textual data, and I think of this notion of sentiment analysis, which is, deciding if people like things. We're kind of doing that here. What we're doing is not quite the same thing. We're not seeing if a person likes things. We're seeing if some combination of words is affiliated with a province or a price or something like that, right? But we're doing the same operations, and we don't expect the preposition of to be associated with higher or lower prices, to my knowledge. I would be surprised if that happened, right? That would suggest to me that I am overfitting or there is an error with my model. Now, I could be wrong, and I've been wrong before, so you can always try this or not, right? I am taking on faith that the linguists are correct when they generate these stop word dictionaries, because I believe they're a result of a lengthy research process, and I think when I started using stop word dictionaries many years ago, the quality of my results went up, so I kept using them, right? I think it might make sense to suggest, hey, perhaps we want a different stop words dictionary than the built-in one in TidyText. Then the burden is on us to determine what the stop words dictionary was. When I went home last week and did this myself, I just ripped out the 20 most common words and didn't consider those, and my results got better. So there's ways to do this pretty naively, right? I would not recommend going that naive when there are research-grade negative dictionaries that we can draw from. So, this is a link to Wikipedia. You can read this article if you want to. There's always stuff you can read. I think Wikipedia is rock solid on computational linguistics. I learned about Chomsky normal form off of this website. And if you can learn about Chomsky normal form on the website, it's a good website. And if you don't know what Chomsky normal form is, enroll in my theory of computing class that I don't teach. Okay, so we have an example here. TidyText has a built-in stop words dictionary. We're going to come out of full screen. Are we? Are we going to come out of full screen? First try. Okay. So I don't know the way you all look into our language source code, but here's TidyText. It's built into dplayer and ggplot. I thought that was pretty good. Okay. And here's a series of various stop words, right? We can click on this one. K, that's dead. Or sorry, that's gone to Valhalla, I think is what we say. Here's a paper. They use Newswire, right? How do you say this? Is that routers or routers? Roger. KNN mention. And what is that? That is a lowercase italicized K.
Yeah.
I'm pretty used to seeing the capital K now. I don't know how common that is. Okay. Got operational systems. Mine's not operational. Okay. This is the one I found. Snowball. You can actually look at this. So here's a list of stop words. And this one's even annotated, which I think is really interesting. I, me, my, so personal pronouns. These are all personal pronouns, right? Personal pronouns, many of them. These are I call these interrogatives. Yeah, they call them interrogatives, right? Being verbs. I'm sure you all remember the song. Be, am, is, or was, were, been, has, have, had, do, did, does, can, could, will, would, shall, should, we, might, must. I don't know. I transposed some of the legs right on there. But I had a lot of fun in my 7th grade grammar class. It was where I became the goblin that I am today. Okay. We've got some auxiliaries. But these are all words you would probably not assume that if she'll or he'll occurs in the description of a wine, that's probably not going to impact its price, right? That's what we mean here. So these are words that don't carry meaning. Further? Come on. Further what? Further cherry? That doesn't mean anything, right? If it intuitively seems to you like many of these should mean something, try and formulate some sentences where they don't mean anything. I think my language centers are too tired to generate examples right now. I had a really good one earlier today. I'll see if it comes back to me. I love looking at and thinking about and talking about language. Look at some of those words and see if you can think of other words like them that are not included in stop text. Look up those words in some of the descriptions of the wine data frame and see what they're correlated with. I would love to know if of predicts price. Check it out. See what happens. Maybe it only predicts the price of Chardonnay. I don't know. So anyways, here is the stop words embedded in an iframe, and you can check it out. But look at all these stop words. I always look at specifically pretty much everything I've ever typed into my computer about computational linguistics has resolved to either MIT or Cornell, which were the two first big computational linguistics labs. Chomsky, who's like the folk hero of computational linguistics, was at MIT, and then Cornell was like competitive in some way. So it's pretty easy to find this stuff. To me, it seems all freely and publicly available. So we're going to start to refer to our data frame as DF for a few times. I'm extremely used to referring to data frames as DF. Did you all refer to data frames as DF in an earlier class? Okay, so it's weird we've been calling it wine all semester. Because I thought it was weird, and then I was like, well, I'm not going to overthink it. Anyways, DF stands for Professor Falvin, which was very hard to say out loud. I knew you knew it was coming, so I wanted to do a good job. And this is what my head looks like. It's full of Oregon and a little bit of California, but not too much. Here's an example of a description. We notice these are all in English. We notice that many of them begin with stop words. A, this, and, into, of, a. Come on, useless. Okay, let's get rid of them. So, oh gosh, bird up. Oh no, this is where I started doing really bad references. Okay, do we all know who Eric Andre is? Okay, I don't. Okay, we really just want words. When I am a coffee snob, the most recent coffee I've really enjoyed is called Black Sheep, which is a double anaerobic process from Yunnan, China, and it changed my life. And I bought a bag for my barista friend who said, this is disgusting, how do you drink this? Which is how you know it's good, right? If other people don't like it. So one of the things I noticed while I was drinking Black Sheep is my brain did not formulate a single sentence about what Black Sheep tasted like. It had things like full, rich, vinegary, fermented, but it wasn't like, this tastes like a symphony made out of clouds. Like, I didn't think that, right? That's like a weird, like a nerd would say that, right? I looked up some directions on how to write convincing tasting notes, and they focused a lot on vocabulary, right? I don't know that people writing tasting notes intuitively are thinking in terms of bag of words, but if you look up how critics are trained to write tasting notes, it looks an awful lot like they've reverse engineered this process, and they are in fact just listing words, and they're stitching grammar around them to form complete sentences, right? Which is exactly what you should all be doing if you're turning in your homework assignments in not complete sentences. Just throw some gibberish in there. No one can tell the difference, and we're proving it mathematically. Okay, or we're not proving it, we're establishing it mathematically. Here's a bunch of words. This unnest tokens. What are tokens? I'm accustomed to using tokens to refer to atomic units of some input field. In this case, the input field is description, so the atomic units are words. And we're taking up the description and we're breaking it into a bunch of words, right? What should we also note here? ID is the same, province is the same, price is the same, points are the same, year is the same. This is one wine. This is a tidy data set. We have an observation for each word, right? That matches our formulation of tidy, does it not? Okay. And then we've got head of Professor Falvin. Okay. Oh, yeah, I found out Rihanna didn't win Album of the Year for Anti the other day. Hey, were y'all following the Grammys?
Yeah.
Clearly the Grammys were on while I was writing this, right? I heard Kendrick got a Grammy for every WAP. Is that true? WAP, WAP. No, okay, never mind. Whatever. WAP, WAP. Okay. What?
I got 5, so I don't have.
Maybe he was nominated.
You got 5, 1 for every wop. Wop, 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 dot. Okay, I can't say any of the other words. Okay, it's remarkable how few words I can say in Kendrick songs. Speaking of removing words, let's remove boring words. Let's look at the difference here. Okay, much like the regular bottling from. That's a sentence, right? Regular. I might have yoinked that one, right? Bottling, okay. How did 2012 sneak through there? That's odd. Tannic. One of the only words I remember seeing from the example of what you should put in your tasting notes of wine was tannic, right? You're supposed to say this. My impression is if you're supposed to say this, like, wouldn't every wine critic describe every wine as tannic because every wine contains tannins? I don't know. I don't know what they do over there. Rustic, that's not a flavor. That's propaganda. They're mind controlling you into liking wine. Okay. Just like Rihanna mind controlled me into liking. Okay, this is about pine knots, right? Remember? Pinot? Pinot? Yeah? Yeah. Let's rip the pine knots out of there, and also the wine. That doesn't affect anything, right? We're taking out minimal words. So we retain regular bottling 2012. Okay. Oops. Okay. There are still IDs. Okay. Watch. ID. ID. Retain the words. Retain the words, right? 2012. Bottling still in there. Slight rearrangement here, right? We're no longer ordered, right? But what we can do now is we can pool our words based on how many of them there are, right? So we're going to count words per ID, okay? So sort by ID. You should all know that this is, I basically decomposed about a 20-line composed mutate that made no sense to me. That's not true. It didn't make no sense to me. It was very difficult to explain. So we're going through this step by step, and I'm sorry. But here we are. Okay. We're pooling words by id, okay? Then we're going to group by id. Okay, so what's changed here? We now have 2 different objects, right? Previously, we just had a data frame with id, word, and n. So the count of words, the word themselves, and the ID with which that word is associated. We still have that same thing, but now we have grouping within ID, right? And that is going to allow us to apply some group-wise operations. Specifically, we can do frequency mutations. So we're going to take the frequency of a word within a description. Now, all of these are the same because n is the same for all of these. And the sum of words within each ID is the same, right? So these are all going to be small values. I think of this as something like the density of a word in a description once we omit the stop words, right? So this is how much of the wine is described by a word, perhaps, or some intuitive sense of that. If I were to start describing a car, and I said fast, red, expensive, convertible, stolen, right? Like each one of those things composes a portion of how I am imagining the car in my mind or how I'm trying to represent the car to you. And if I said red, fast, red and fast are bearing more weight in that description than red, fast, convertible, stolen, right? That matches our intuitive sense of what's happening here. Think about language, think about words, okay? We're going to move everything that doesn't exist. For all words, there exists an ID. There could be words within our data set that are removed, so we take this out. We ensure that there are non-zero words. We're repacking things together by ID. So what is this? Over the scope of that grouped-ungroup operation, we've changed a bunch of ones to small probabilities, right? Does anyone know what 1 divided by 0.0588 is? Let's see how long that description was. I'm going to transgress against R. There were 17 words. And was that 17 including stop words or not? Think you know. Not including stop words. Yep. Okay. Okay. Oh, we should go over the stages here. So we grouped by ID first to take the probability of words within a given description. Now we're going to group by what? By word. Where'd I lose it? We're going to group by word. And once we group by word, for which there are frequencies, we can take the total over the probabilities, right? So here's our total. What is n here? I have no idea. What is it? I'm lost. I'm confused. Does anyone know what n is? Dang it, I got stuck. I think it's the total probability across the data frame, right? 130K wines, 849 of these. That should be the total weight across the full data set, right? There should be many more bottling and many more earthy than there is country or companion. We recompose that back together, and what does this give us? This gives us a ranking of the comparative popularity of words set minus the words within the stop words list, right? Fruit, cherry, way up at the top. I found it super interesting black was here, right? But this is a Pinot data set. This is a data set about Pinot Noir, which means, I think, Pinot Black in English, right? We have palate, finish, tannins, acidity, aromas. These are all things that make sense to me to be ways to describe wine, right? When you have something that's good, it has flavor, right? My favorite hot sauces all taste like fruit, right? You tracking this? You ever gone on hot ones, Jacob?
No.
Someday. Okay. Have you seen Left Join yet?
Yes.
Okay. You can all tell me what it does then. What's this do?
It's taking the columns wine ID and provenance, storing it to the data frame by the ID column.
Okay. What's DF? I like that. So Professor Falvin is currently storing the popularity of our words. And so we join the popularity of our words with just the IDs and provinces from wine, right? Is that what you said, Kendall? Okay. Don't take my word for it. It's written right here, right? IDs. Do we have the wines in here anywhere? No, we just got the ID. Yeah, they're sorted by ID, right? And we have province, which of course is Oregon, because Oregon is hella based, they say, right? Okay. We are so back. Okay. What are we going to use the words to do? Well, we're going to compose them, and we're going to see how are the words associated with the province, right? I didn't step through all of this, right, but what's going on here? We're going to count up the words within the province, grouping by province. We're going to take the top 5 of the words, right? Here's top 5 for Burgundy, and then there's one California sneaking in there. As Californians are wont to do, they're always sneaking in, right? We're arranging by province, and we're just popping the head off, right? So, Burgundy wines, which I think are the most fetching price-wise wines in the world, probably the highest ranked as well, because I think the French get to pick what their scores are. Turns out all these wines are drinks. Maybe that should have been your stop words, right? Turns out all the Pinot Noirs are red. They also contain fruits, right? There's one thing that's pretty interesting to me here, though, which is that, and I don't know if this stands out right, but we don't have it down here. Apparently California wines taste like cherry, and Burgundy wines taste like acid. So, next time you visit France, say you're going on an acid trip. Okay. It is time for our first group exercise. This highly suggests I was supposed to assign your groups before now, right? Too bad. What we're doing now is you're going to form your own groups, and I'm going to be nice to you. I'm going to let you pick your own groups this time. So I want to be appreciated for that. Capture the essence of Casablanca, Marlborough, I'm not going to try and say that again, in New York. And then we're going to look for Cali in Oregon. Try and get a COPPA to 0.5. Okay, use tidy text, get in there, find words affiliated with these regions. Cherry has popped out to us immediately, right? Acidity has popped out to us. Differentiate these things, get COPPA up to 0.5. Remember, you're going to use the train. You can use probably k-fold cross-validation and run it 100 times. You can run Bootstrap 100 times. You have your own computers and you know how much work they can do. Get me a COPPA of 0.5, and if you get one, put it in Discord because I want to see what you did. Ready, go. I don't hear the sound of going.
Well, I just got an email telling me to sign up for this program, so...
Ooh, which program?
MSDS and MSCS.
Oh, I also got that email.
I know, right? It's
For
great.
Reese, and it's hilarious because I'm like, this.
I could get an MSCS.
Yeah. Oh.
Ah,
Probably better than mine.
you know, don't tell yourself, because I didn't teach you.
Am I teaching in the one I'm in?
Why?
No.
Exactly. So
I'm that's what makes it good.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I see.
I
The
see.
goodness of a program is whether I teach.
Right.
We're the #1 ranked MSDS in the entire Western United States.
So they keep telling you.
No, it's true. I checked. I was the one that figured this out. They were like, we're ranked 14 nationally. I was like, did you look up where all the other ones are? They're on the wrong side of the Mississippi. They're on the least coast. Right? They don't call it the Beast Coast. They call it the least coast, right?
Thank you.
Probably worth an MSDS.
I just submit this.
Oh wait, it's all my MSCS that are sitting up here. Oh, this is where you get programming.
I don't know. It just keeps disappearing.
You can tell when she's listening.
I'm able to find
Kel, are you doing Python in this class?
Actually, I'm doing off this one.
Should you be doing Python in this class?
Probably.
Oh no, I lost my file. Is it with 4?
Yeah.
How's it going?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh, I think so. I'll put 4 and then go back to the file.
Let me check That's what you need.
Like my best. 120.
did you go off all of
7th, 11th, all time.
I did.
It's necessary anyway, so.
everything except this group?
Exactly.
Like, because when I do this, like right here,
Oh wait, sorry, no. I just dropped the description.
yeah.
So when you said recipes and things like propaganda,
But the parent I was running into is
and our friend just goes, let them cook. They're on the right track.
If it were Cap, I wouldn't say. You know how they call it capitalism?
I'll try to fix it.
Okay. Just trying to convert it. What? Yeah. Honestly, that's the break his arm just because it's so much less like stuff you would write before. Obviously,
This homework wasn't even given. It was like 2 items together.
oh, okay.
It was literally just this.
Just that, okay.
And then doing the setup myself. Because everything else was done.
What do you think about the
Oh,
color?
yes.
This?
Yeah.
Fully goes out.
It is accessible.
Yeah. It always looks up.
I think people have never denied anything.
This is gonna be a
Yeah, I've got like so
I'm
many.
right
Salty water.
Okay.
I was born in the kids vacation league. I get it now.
I'm gonna go back to the.
Yeah, of course.
It's already in line. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My dad is not subtle. He was trying to ask what he should do for my mom because my mom's controlling.
Yeah.
And so he was like, my mom won't cook on her birthday or anything like that. Not because my dad is bad. My dad is rich. It's just that she has her morals. And we follow those rules. Like, and so my dad's like, what should I do? Should I get her chocolate? No, she's not going to want chocolate. And my mom wants fine. She goes, I don't want chocolate. And I was like, maybe flowers? And she's like, no, they're going to die and make a mess. And it's so funny, it's not even a week ago. They were on a romantic trip for my dad's birthday. They went up to a farm.
Sounds very
Closest as they can get to my dad. So did mine. Yeah. Yeah, and then you talked about the orange throat. And my mom had to do
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Did you go there?
So we got to the ones that were like,
I had a problem where it was the same error I had that was getting this action. I just forgot what property.
depending on how frequently it stops, I don't know.
That's when fever shows up.
Yeah. More common.
It's all only one camera. Like they only have to one speech. I didn't want it to be half. I really watched the first half. I forgot the Super Bowl thing.
And they did something like it was Kelsey Walker. It was great.
I did see that, which is kind of unfair. It is watching it like that. People really do anything. I mean, she's watching her boyfriend, and she's like, just bullying her. Yes, yeah. It impacts you. But then, that's what that's and to be fair, the NFL did it.
Whether lines are from this one.
And they
I understand guys.
I don't know why you talk to me. How come look like a bus?
These are
Overpriced.
Oh, I never read it. No.
That's good.
Looks like
Whatever.
oh, you mean
Not fast.
yeah. So I'm selecting. I am selecting. Yes. No, encoded. Oh, no.
What'd you get?
Yeah, the dummy columns. Oh, yeah. So look at my keyboard. But you should select by keywords. What do you call it? Just like ID points twice here. And problems.
So there's overlap. Yeah, they're exactly right. Yeah. Well, actually, it's in there. It's in there.
Hey, hey.
Yeah, so maybe we can rock it up with yeah, exactly. Because I want just because the most of the descriptions probably aren't from the so we say here's the description. How's it work? Because like
I get to think you don't test. Made it like this, yes. Yeah, I think it was a secret. It's like a really weak.
This is all theory. This is all theory. This is 30 to that.
Well, that's okay. Yep. What? Yeah.
Yeah, just feel like gay, you know.
Terry's already
stopped like 5 years ago. Yeah, that's why.
I think so. I have no idea.
Oh, which we each know. Okay.
I think I would kill this.
I heard allegedly that one will be in Salem. Pythons for Salem during the summer. I think it might be. I know.
I had to
You only use 7 letters.
I see.
Yeah, which
I
is
see
why
you just
I'm
on the spot. That was the first time I was
or hybrid. I'll jump on Zoom.
I'll sleep on Zoom.
My sophomore, I think, I took one of David Christ's Zoom classes. Birdman, remember the glasses? You know what I'm talking about? Do you not know what David Christ is? Oh, you lucky soul. He's just like the whitest white man ever. I love him. I know. Huh? No, I don't like white men, but more white men have these. No, that's what I said. If more white men had dated Fred, the world should be better. Because I'm not asking for white men now. Yeah, I do. It's just like acknowledge indigenous people. But anyway. Okay.
God.
Are you still there? I'm so sorry. I went to the bathroom. I forgot to look at it. Thanks. And then a year and a half later, he hired me on the Christmas Club. So I think it worked. Oh, okay.
So basically, I took this study. So I just made this up.
Okay.
And so far it hasn't.
One.
Yes. Oh, tape it. I thought you said, are they going to tape it like in the live stream? And then, oh my god, I had it for a second to look at that. So, the blood is starting.
read like Up My Life.
Yeah, so they're not in the week. They've been New York was I in 2022? Yeah, it's more expensive. I've always been.
I'm a lot of thinking.
There's only 2 hours.
Have you made a one-line
It's so crazy to look at it because like the blood has moved around where the horseshoe was. Like it goes right up the line. So it's because like I did all my movements and then put that on right afterwards. So like all the blood is like moved around when I did all the exercises.
like the rarest word?
I wouldn't say I have like zesty. I have a ton of numbers in mind. So like in the beginning, I arranged it by like the end now, so it's different. But like when it was like arranged by the word, I kind of like the first entry is pretty good. Well, there was the years, but there's also just like 100,000. All I had to write something on like
Did you figure it out?
I tried to I had to write it like distribution for like advantage, like ABG, and it took me probably 8 seconds to read it. I was like, you wrote the A, like the top of the A, and then I couldn't
Error was that I had too many.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't the province that was the problem. It was everything else because I had descriptions and stuff.
Like VS Code user. That easy VS Code. It's like even
I would be. I also. Well, not using art. I definitely use. I
don't want to use
Then with Core 3D, you just have a browser.
Oh no, I think we have different definitions of fun.
So far. But I haven't persuaded you. Right. But someday, the damn world.
that doesn't
Like chess, you have puzzles.
Yeah. It speaks volumes. Someday.
I have to put you the other
your plot.
Right. Oh, maybe I just didn't print it out. I've been pretty Oh, I guess, yeah. Okay. No. Never mind. I forgot about it.
Right. So, I think there's
that one's like graphic.
And DF.
Should I have done the graphic?
Probably focus on that, which takes all the descriptions apart, makes an entry for every single line. There are many entries for line data, but there's only one entry for line. Right? So if you're looking for an individual word, you have to look for the DF data frame, perhaps in the word use one. And in the DF data frame, there's nothing called description. It's different. So I think that's a little bit of this, like,
Make sure that it's
yeah, there's one. Click on Y. Y has different columns with different data.
I know. I thought like at this point, like the person would like stop compressing and it would start to like yellow and you know, like it would start to like develop boost, but I
join.
I don't know if I succeeded. I did not succeed. I'm trying to understand all of the code here, and I'm not.
Feeling like confusion.
Yeah, it doesn't look super correct.
Yeah, maybe that's the confusing matrix. Like, it's confused matrix, and then you're confused by it. So honestly, I feel like it accomplishes what it's
True. So I took easy sort of phasing this. How many lines within the description are from a product as a percentage, right? So for example, cherry is very common in Marlboro wines.
Yeah, yes.
But I don't think it is common that the cherry wine is because most cherry wines are from Oregon. And so you can take this other one, I can see for every word what percentage of the lines in that word is from a product. And there's just a way to do that. And I would be, does that make sense?
I'm just like, never asked me like,
I stopped just at the beginning and then I realized.
oh, good. I know, I live in a place down there.
It was fun. I got to meet a bunch of people.
Oh, like further down.
Over and fell, but like not enough to actually like hurt it, but it was like it's like it's like it's almost gone now. But like the first night, like the day this happened, and then put all my weight on this foot with it, and I got in bed with both my ankles and was throbbing, and I was like, I literally, and then my cat was here at 6 in the morning, and she knocked over a glass of water, and I instinctively like jumped out of bed, like ran to the glass to pick it up, and then I got it, and I was like, hey, close it so
I think that helps you with your table. So what we do now is we look at it. Right, like, certainly, if I were to understand the data for another guy, I'm trying to
Yeah.
Just getting messages from friends being like, hey, want to play like Phasmophobia? And I'm like, I'm in class. And they're like, and they're like, when you're in class, I was like, what kind of class do you not understand? And they're like, it's 9:30 at night, class goes on till 9:30. It's like, I get out at 8:30. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, but like,
That's like a spot where like those over there. The sports teams come like earlier
like
at noon.
9:15 to 9.
So I will be trying to do it.
Well, that's 15 minutes.
You know what team you could just go to?
Yeah.
You just
Not.
yeah.
Yeah, also I feel like in life there's not a time. I also don't care to see me live as far as my friends are perfect. Except my name. When do you go to school? What? When do you go to school?
When do I go to school?
Yeah, like what time of day?
If we're doing continuous, we have either at like 10:30 or 11:30 in the morning or at like 4:30. But like personally, I try to shoot in the middle. Like I'm sitting by myself either at like 1 p.m. or at like 9 p.m.
Yes. Sparks, I'll go at 9 a.m. or 10 p.m.
Yeah,
Like
those are like the best times. Yeah, like last semester I had classes that would get out at like 10:30, and that's the perfect time to just go like pop in really fast and then leave like 10:30 a.m. But yeah, I go around really a lot because I have a lot of classes that get out at 11:30. Because I have 2 classes I get out at TA Monday, Wednesday, 11:40, and then every class gets out at 40 on Sundays. This semester it's been a lot of like longer.
So you see Jace?
Molly said the same thing.
Yes,
Like,
I do.
doesn't matter, you know?
Jace doesn't work in the morning, so he's going to see him.
What day is it?
One's not,
Do it
one's.
4 hours. Especially when like we've gotten so
And it
1 hour walks, 90-minute walks. Like,
Yeah, I requested that.
sure, some of us
I
it's
said,
like
Ben, I'm sick of seeing Jace's face.
or
I
like
gotta be
4
nice
hours
with you. I
out.
appreciate you. I really do.
Yeah, you called me an a-hole.
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you.
Like all of them.
Let's take a look at that.
Or maybe. Oh, there's only 9 minutes.
What?
Are you thinking of Jeff Booth? I had him last year.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's so cool.
Superhero?
How's that?
No, it's substitution.
I have seen
Like, I've always been kind of scared too, because like,
He went to Aruba last week.
he's fine.
Yeah.
So like, well, I mean, so
He's self-employed. Like my fast food is pretty good.
and then. So like, I only have friends, and then to be like, oh, this is easier, like, this is not a sanitary. And then, like, especially if I'm, whenever I have a hard time, I always trust her.
He works for an hour.
hour that a day.
I don't.
So he has a bad day at work, he's got 23
I
days
can't
or
believe you just got me someone gonna work to look.
oh, just kidding.
That's, you're like, you never know if you're like,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
but like,
Up until high school, and it was that I got my tropes, and they were like, actually, no, because of it. This isn't gonna, she's picky, this is and my family now is like, it seems. And then I just have to go there.
Will you go with you? Is there
And it's not safe. It's not good. It depends on also like and so I would eat food thinking it was going to be safe, and then it wasn't safe. And so then, yeah, and then I just became so now, I'm like,
me deserves right there. Were you trying to signal me for a question? Oh, I know. You see my score, right? I just put it in. I wrote down things I liked in campus. So I mentioned I Googled like what do wine tasters work on. But I was like, what do I like and it doesn't work, it's moving backwards. I think class is class over.
3 minutes.
Class is over in 3 minutes. It means it's over now. Talk to me if you have any questions. I remember your last one. Have you seen Left in
Yeah. No, it's okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, that sounds, I don't know if I thought of it, that's right. Yeah.
See you.
See
Hopefully it feels better.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Regrab this, Sean. Gotta regrab. I took it off because it was so tough. Do you want to see it? Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I can totally see why they were like, that would be like it.
Okay. And it's all swollen up here, so it's kind of hard to see, but like,
Yeah, no, I see it.
and then there's this side too. I know, this is after having it like compressed too all day.
Yeah, because that's how they knew I broke my ankle last year.
You only write one line.
Was because I had the same thing where my ankle and I broke this ankle twice before. And so, like, at first they were like, okay, we're going to scar tissue. And then my bruising and swelling didn't go down, and I still didn't wait there days later. Because when I initially went, they have it on campus, and they're like, you need to go to the ER, so we can like be like, she's fine, please don't sue us. And they took an x-ray, and they're like, you're fine. And then pain is when they're not going away. Went to a second opinion, and they're like,
You're not
you got a crack. It's broken.
Well, good luck with it. It feels fine. It looks worse than it feels, for sure. Okay. So.
I'll send some healing energy your way.
Thank you. Thoughts and prayers for sure. Oh, yeah.
We're thinking a lot about the word and what it means out of the context. Like the word drink, I got really hung up on the word drink. Yeah. Yeah. And nobody knows how to make it that way.
Working so hard. You might back.
Okay.
Yeah, take care. Drive safe or whatever you're doing. Are you learning?
I think so.
That's what I like to hear. All right, end stream.